Hello my friends and welcome back. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I always enjoy saying this, and I do enjoy what's on the screen. You see that photo? That's not Photoshop, that's not a random pic, but actually a real photo taken 2 days ago from Dzhankoy, occupied Crimea. What you see here is a Russian fuel train blown to smithereens by Ukrainian drones. Beautiful, my friends. Wow, wow, wow. Let's look at where exactly Dzhankoy is, right here on the northern, a bit eastern side of occupied Crimea. And Ukraine is focusing down Russian fuel trains and logistic trains. We're gonna look at some few other examples also. They're striking them in Melitopol, right here, in Tokmak, which is somewhere in this area, forgive me. And in occupied Crimea, for example, Dzhankoy and other settlements where railways go cross like that. That's where the logistics is focused on. The trains go through both ways, and it's the main target of Ukrainian drones. Unfortunately, I don't have any other videos or photos of this specific strike. But this one is enough, right? I mean, it's a good photo. Look at it. Put it as your computer background, wallpaper, right? I would. It's nice. But now we travel a bit back 1.5 months, back actually to the 2nd of July this summer, 2025. Why I chose this specific attack? Just to illustrate to you how easy it actually is. As you can see, this is the occupied southern Ukraine. We have here Tokmak, which is occupied logistics supply intersection. Logistics railway intersection, right? You can see it also on the map. The lines go and cross. That's the easiest way to understand. And Ukraine is striking this Russian railway line day after day. As soon as they find a train, they're gonna focus it down. And we have a beautiful video that shows us how easy it is. Look at that. That's a Ukrainian recon drone up in the sky assessing the recent strike, and just like that, right, destroyed the tracks. A train is coming in full throttle. They cannot stop, of course, because these logistics trains, they're heavy as hell. They won't stop at anything unless they are stopped. And this is what happens. The locomotive derails and is forced to stop. And look at how big this train is. Look at that. That's massive. And of course, the Russians will fix these tracks, I'm telling you. They fix it in 2-3 days, but everything stops. Everybody who is waiting for whatever is on this train has to wait longer. There's gonna be shortages. That's efficient strike on Russian railway logistics. And it's beautiful to watch. Alright, my friends, I will keep you waiting no longer. Take out your oil refinery bingo cards because we're gonna go through everything that barbecued in Russia today and yesterday. First of all, Novoshaktinsk oil refinery, that was struck about 5 days ago. I think it was ending of last week. It burned until yesterday's morning, Tuesday's morning. So we have 5 days of barbecue. Free barbecue for the Russians. Imagine, you're a Russian civilian, you're making like 0 money a month. You have this meat that grandmother gave you that they butchered the pig and now you get the meat, right? You want to barbecue it somewhere. But yeah, you have no money for firewood. But suddenly, Russian states provide you with free barbecue in the Novoshakhtinsk oil refinery for 5 days in a row. Wow, wow, my friends. But here we can see the aftermath. Oh, there's still a tiny barbecue going on right here. Hey, don't put it out. People need to warm their food. But yeah, it's not doing good. These big tanks here, which hold about 80,000 cubic meters of fuel, several of them, almost all of them burned. Not all, but almost all of them burned. Empty. So this is a big hit. Let's just watch some other photos of the aftermath of this barbecue. As you can see, when this fuel tank burns empty, it still remains standing. It's just empty, and you cannot really put them out because it's a chemical fire, or I don't know how to describe, when oil or fuel burns, you don't really put it out with water. You need the foam, the chemical foam, and hundreds of firefighters. And that's what it looks like. Beautiful sight, man. Beautiful sight. I don't see all the Russians with sausages. Like, they should barbecue them, but I don't see them. Where's the oil refinery party? Look at that. These are, if I'm not mistaken, these are firefighters' trucks that burned after they drove them here, and then the fire spread and they burned. Yeah, I mean, the trucks are additional barbecue. If you want to barbecue your sausages, you can also grill them on the burning trucks if you want to. And this is a moment for you when the Novoshaktinsk was actually burning. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, how are you going to put that out? They reported that there were over 400 firefighters working day in and day out, 4 days in a row on this Novoshaktinsk oil refinery. As you can see, this is the foam. I'm sure you know more about this than I do. I just know that you cannot use water on this kind of oil fires. You need this chemical foam that kills the fire. Otherwise, the water is just gonna splash and explode and make it worse, like you would put water on burning oil. Like cooking oil, it doesn't, like, it makes it worse. So they need this, they need the suits. It's so hot. You cannot really barbecue sausages with such heat. I know it's really difficult, but look at that. What are you gonna do with that? I mean, honestly, yeah, the truth is, be this in the West or in Russia, it's as difficult for the Western countries also. All you can do is tuck this foam thingy closer to the fire and then get away again, because it's so hot. And you can't really do much. You gotta just, like, the fuel burns out or your foam runs out. There's not really much you can do about, like, these specific oil fires, except barbecue your meat. Russians want the Soviet Union back. Putin wants the Soviet Union back. And now they have it back. Because one of the main thing about Soviet Union that everybody recognized is that coupons. You got food with coupons, you got sugar with coupons, you got gasoline with coupons. Everything needed coupons. The state permission for you to buy it, because there was shortage of everything. Well, gasoline coupons are being introduced in a number of Russian regions, primarily in European and border regions. I gotta say reintroduced, because they had them in the 90s, even early 2000s, so they only have about 15 to 20 years without the coupons, so it's not even that long. They're just gonna reintroduce them. Ukrainian drone attacks on refineries have significantly reduced gasoline production, causing a shortage in the domestic market. Ukrainian attacks in recent weeks have damaged at least 10 large oil refineries. Nice. In regions from the Far East to Crimea and the Kuril Islands, gas stations remain without gasoline. Long lines have formed and sales are carried out only by coupons or cards. Hey, you want to know what the Soviet Union is all about? It's not about the big army marching through Moscow. It's not about the parade shots. This sentence summarizes it. Long lines have formed and sales carried out only by coupons or cards. That's the Soviet Union for you, if you ever wondered what was it like. In territories such as the Kuril Islands, the population has limited sales to 10 liters per person. Fuel is a priority for special transport. The introduction of coupons is being discussed in other regions. 20 liters per day, but behind closed doors they already admit that this limit is too high and will have to be reduced. I like what I'm reading, man. And here's a few videos of massive lines in almost any gas station on the border regions. Everybody needs fuel, of course, anywhere in the world. If you don't get it, it's bad, my friends. We're all used to getting gasoline or diesel as much as we need from the gas stations. If you have money, of course. What happens if you don't? Have you ever wondered about it? You cannot go anywhere with your car. Oh, take the bus. You cannot take the bus. They don't have diesel. They don't have fuel. You cannot take anything. You can take a bicycle. For example, this is occupied Melitopol, Ukraine. And this guy reports that all of the gas stations are out of everything. You see zero, 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 no prices even because there's nothing. And he says that this situation has been going on for 2 weeks already. See, another gas station, everything is out. So yeah, in certain areas already half a month, there's nothing. And now, my friends, I want to bring you a full-blown Russian imperialist and fascist, a Russian journalist, Maxim Kalashnikov. And you gotta love the name, Maxim Kalashnikov. Maxim being a very well-known Russian machine gun, and Kalashnikov being a second very well-known Russian automat Kalashnikov. Well, I quote him because I think you might agree with him. Russian economy is at its limit with the ongoing war. Of course, Dugin and Medinsky can babble about being ready to fight another 10 or 20 years, but that's pure nonsense. We don't have that much time. I also hear the delusional statements that soon we will start a war with Europe, that will begin a new nuclear arms race and spend 90 trillion rubles on arsenal modernization. There is no chance of that. Our economy has not yet collapsed completely, but it is already breaking apart. The failed blitzkrieg resulted in the Russian Federation being stripped of $1.2 trillion, 100 trillion rubles, needed for development, and the war continues to devour resources. Tens of trillions will be required just to repair the destruction in the annexed regions. Very soon, we will face the difficult question of how to finance the security services and the state apparatus at least to pre-war levels, or how to avoid delays in pension payments. The Russian Federation faces a stormy political upheaval. Economically, the situation is the same as in the USSR in the 1985 on the eve of perestroika, while politically it resembles February 1917 when the Tsarist regime collapsed. See, 1985, since 1986, Chernobyl happened, and after that everything went downhill. 1985, I do agree with this. The coupons are already introduced, the shortages have already begun, and there's a massive deficit in the Russian budget. So this was from Russia, an insider source. Now let's bring you an outsider source, an Estonian, former Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas says this: Russian oil revenues have dropped by 30%. Putin is losing billions due to EU sanctions. These funds are no longer available to finance Russia's war machine. So yeah, if you ever wonder if sanctions work, they do work. It's just very difficult to bring down a country as big as Russia. They have gold, they have forest, they have agricultural products, and they have oil and gas, and they have diamonds even. It's really difficult to bring down a country that has almost everything the world consumes on a daily basis. So you gotta be really strict with your sanctions, but they do work if you keep hammering at them and if you're stubborn with them. And now to hammer that point even longer, I mean, Russia is over $1 trillion economy. This is the reality though. The infrastructure is not maintained ever in Russia right now. Everything goes to war. You don't repair the water infrastructure, the electrical infrastructure, and every pipe, every wire in the world anywhere has a date when it's gonna end. The wire's gonna make a spark and there's a fire, the pipe is gonna burst. It might be 50 years, might be 100 years, maybe even 200. Well, in Russia, majority of piping and electrical infrastructure was done in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. Up until now, it's almost, even the 80s, I mean, it's half a century ago. Every pipe, every wire, it's going crazy now. It's in the next 10 years, even now, every winter pipes burst, there's electrical fires everywhere, and it results in this. This is a babushka collecting puddle water where cars drive. She should have running water. She has probably worked like 56 years for the state. She has done her part in her life. She should have a nice pension and flowing hot water, whatever she needs. But no, she has to collect it from the puddle. This is Russia, my friends. And now, I will butcher some Buy Me a Coffee monthly members, but we only have two. Only two, but hey, not the least, I'm very happy that we have these two members. Adrian Green and Bill Koski. These two, you are very welcome to join the family. You are the only two who joined after the last video. You want to make that list longer and you want to hear your name butchered to oblivion? Well, buy me a coffee, link is in the description below. And Bill Goyski actually asked me if he could get a patch. And turns out he's a United States Army veteran of 27 years. So Bill, I gotta say thank you for your service. Of course, I will send your patch out to you in the next 2 days. So if you want the Rehi patch, just write to me and buy me a coffee and you will get one. Thank you, Bill. Now, my friends, I want to introduce you to a Russian mummy. This is how we call him. This is Yanukovych, the former president of Ukraine, of course, a Russian puppet, or they call it the Russian mummy. This is the guy who stole everything he could from the Ukrainian people when he was the president. How do I know this? Well, because I just want to bring you a video of Yanukovych's palace. This is 2014 when Ukraine actually got its independence from the Russian-controlled puppet, and people actually discovered, I mean, they had a hunch before, they discovered what was going on. This is 2014, the moment when Ukrainian people liberated their country after Maidan. And here is Yanukovych's palace. I visited this palace when I was in Kiev. This is a massive, massive closed up area. They have their own private zoo. They have several sauna buildings, like a spa, big garage for like 50 cars, luxury cars. They're showing the pools and everything. I mean, this is not how presidents should live. This is not like the presidential palace. He built it for himself personally from the state funds. I mean, this is peak corruption. Well, why I'm talking about this is because yesterday, Ukrainian kamikaze drones carried out a precise strike on the house of the former Ukrainian president Viktor Yanukovych, located in Russia. The Russian mummy's house in Russia was struck by Ukrainian drones. This is only fair, because this palace he built, the price was astronomical. I think it was like a few $100 million, at least more even, that he just stole for himself personally. Now his house is getting bombed because of it. So I'm glad. This is karma, a very slow working karma. But talking about Ukrainian drones, we had one in Estonia, I kid you not, about 2 days ago. Ukrainian drone flew into Estonian field in Tartu County in the southern Estonia. You can see it right here. I'm here in Tallinn. Well, this happened here. It exploded on a field, leaving a small crater. Ust-Luga is here. Why is it mentioned? Because these drones were heading to Ust-Luga and majority of them made it. One of them fell into this big lake right here, Peipsi Järv we call it. Another one flew into Estonia, Tartu County, and fell in here. We don't know why they deviated from the course, but these two drones were Ukrainian drones, and the majority of them made a barbecue out of Ust-Luga. But yeah, we now got the first taste of Ukrainian drones. Nobody was hurt, it was just a field explosion, but this happens sometimes. When I talked about karma with Yanukovych, well, karma has struck another region of Russia. We are talking about an earthquake in the Caspian area. Residents of Dagestan ran out of the streets in panic. A powerful earthquake with a magnitude of nearly 6, so it's strong. It's strong enough to bring down buildings. Although we don't see that. See, there's like this one tremor that happens. Where is it now? Oh, boom, here it is. This one tremor happens quite fast, like 10 seconds, and then it's over. Now it could bring down buildings, but I haven't seen any footage of it bringing down buildings. If it would last a minute, everything would be destroyed. It's a strong earthquake, but it was really short. That's the thing. So they got really lucky. But always nice to see when karma punishes bad people. Recently there was Ukrainian Independence Day, and for that Ukrainians dropped these leaves, these papers on the Russian positions, and I want to read you what message they wanted to forward to the Russians, because it's a nice message. Occupier, you do not understand and will not understand why we do not want to be part of your country. We don't want a dictator like you, at whose will you will soon become manure for our black soil. Perhaps you will become a beautiful sunflower, or an ear of wheat grown on Ukrainian land. Freedom and independence, human life are the main values. but you don't understand that either. I'm sorry that you came to my home with the purpose of killing me and taking what is rightfully mine, not yours. But I will kill you without regret, because I am defending my independence, my relatives and my country. Happy Independence Day, Ukraine. And this is what they got. It's a nice, beautiful message to the occupiers, educating them one at a time. I don't think any occupier will really understand it, because they don't understand this language. Human rights, freedom, valuing human life, what is that? They don't get it. But it's a nice try. It's a beautiful message. But now, my friends, let's travel to Russia. Because Russia makes cars still. Lada Vesta, the new Lada of 2025. People bought it. I mean, people buy it. It's a Russian-made car. Of course, parts come from China, and Chinese own like 80 to 90% of Russian automotive industry share right now. But there's some that still buy this Lada Vesta, Russian-made car. In the so-called Russian Federation, Lada Vesta is being massively recalled due to the steering wheel that locked up while driving. I kid you not. These are several videos that you just drive down the road and you cannot turn your wheel. Okay, yeah, you can stop, push the brakes, right? You cannot, the wheel is stuck. But imagine you're going 100 kilometers or 100 miles per hour with this. I don't think Lada Vesta can go this fast. But still, this is very dangerous. And you have a massive, like, steep turn coming up, and you have, let's say, even 70 kilometers per hour. Your wheel locks up. You're gonna drive out of the road. And this is Lada Vesta. There's no security, no airbags, nothing. So you're just gonna be manure. You're gonna be rendered into a sunflower. So yeah, the steering wheel doesn't work. I mean, it's a very. This is another video. And you can hear the baby crying in the back. It makes me feel so bad. I mean, you're a mother, you bought this car and the baby is crying in the back and you cannot turn your wheel. The baby wants your milk, but you cannot turn your wheel because it's made in Russia. It's such a bad situation. Well, yeah, a lot like recalled the vehicles and they're like, it's a massive failure. It's a new vehicle and you cannot use the wheel. You often hear people saying, be brave like Ukraine. Well, nowhere else is it so clear than in this video. This is Russian drone, FPV drone that stands in ambush mode. That means only the camera is working, no propellers, nothing. It stands until it sees Ukrainian troops, then it lifts up. It's like an ambushing mine that you can control. Ukrainians use the same tactic. Well, in this video, Ukrainian civilians saw that Russian ambush drone and decides to go full bonanza, full gorilla on it. Doesn't care, brave like Ukraine. Check it out. First of all, this could be a Darwin Award if a mistake is made. Bada bim, bada boom, you know. But this guy is not stupid, he's smart. Look what he does. First thing he does, he pulls away the explosive, the munition. So whatever the drone does, it's not gonna explode because there's no munition. Pull this away, walking around with this, and now he's gonna try, like the Russians are controlling it. They're like, oh, what the hell are you doing? And now this guy's like taking off the battery, and now drops it and breaks it. This guy's full gorilla mode on it, like, you come to my land? You come to my land, man? I'll beat you to a pulp. Look at that. This man is brave like Ukraine. Well, he is Ukrainian. It's just a nice thing to see. I mean, this is... the Russians think they're going to fight Ukrainian soldiers. No, they're fighting the entire society. Everybody. The women, the children, the men, the grandfathers, the grandmothers, everybody. There's stories of grandmothers baking cakes for the Russian soldiers that were poisoned. They shed blood and they died, like by the tens at the beginning months of war. So they have no idea that they're fighting an entire society. There's no way Russia can win this war. They just don't know it yet. This was it, Wednesday edition, my friends. I'll be back for you on Friday, but until then, be sure to check out Buy Me a Coffee, link in the description below, because I want to butcher some names with my Estonian pronunciation on Friday. Let's make the list longer than 2. Until then, my friends, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.